Oh, hey there, folks. This is Kate, and it is still raining, and I still have this nasty cold, so I don't sound great. But I'm jumping on to say this is part 2 with comic and financial analyst and teacher Steve Mayne, who is lovely and hilarious and is running shows all over London and is getting up and performing all over London and is very open and receptive to being on shows. So you should ask him to perform. He's very, very funny and totally knows how to work a room. I've had the pleasure of seeing Steve do stand-up and hanging out with him, and he's very funny and super fun, and he's a very patient man, God bless. It was very hard to get this meeting sorted because Zoom changed their rules right before we recorded, and he was a very patient man with all of that too. And it is a rainy day in Los Angeles, and I thought, as I did last week, why not make it a recording outside so you can hear the rain? I hope it's really annoying in your ears and that you think this was a terrible choice, because even when I go back and listen in the edit, it's going to stay. Thank you folks so much for listening. Let's get on with the show.
To the audio.
Amazing. Okay, we're back. Thank you so much for being so patient with this.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. So let's get back to these questions. Okay. So we were just talking about how Council House. Let me get back to I'm just going to go back to these. Okay. So your favorite job, you said, was cocktail bartending at the music venue, which is obvious.
Yeah. That was the best job. That was the best job you got. But another good story from that. The Brixton Academy is a big music venue in England. So most bands would play Brixton Academy. Like the Rolling Stones did a little concert there. But like all the acts as they're on their way up. I saw Radiohead there, Smashing Pumpkins there. Like those types of bands. Like that's where you go to see them. And the guy who ran the bars in the music venue was the bar manager there beforehand. And there's a famous Irish band called the Pokes. They do the song Fairy Tale of New York. Shane MacGowan's the lead singer. Famous Irish band. I'm sure all your Irish listeners will know exactly who they are. But Shane MacGowan is a poet in the truest sense, but also a degenerate drunk.
An Irish? What? That's crazy.
Who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? And he wasn't allowed to get drunk before he went on stage. But it didn't mean he couldn't drink. But in the rider, do you know what Shinzanu is?
Mm-mm.
Shinzanu is like a strange like martini drink. I think it's like 12.5 or 17%. It's like fortified wine.
Wow.
And they use it in making cocktails. But they asked for miniatures only. You know, the little miniatures you get in like aeroplanes. And they explained it to me is because the guy just drinks. But because it takes him time to open all the individual miniatures, it slows him down drinking so he can get on stage. And they had this giant Christmas hit called Fairy Tale of New York, which you definitely would have heard. You definitely would have heard if you'd ever been alive during Christmas. It's like one of those massive, massive songs. And so they always played this venue at Christmas. And the band have turned up after about 45 minutes. The manager's come running out and screaming at this bar manager. And he was like, "What the fuck have you done to Shane? Why didn't you just follow the fucking rules?" And they're like, "We thought we did. We put a bottle of Shinzanu there. But they put a 1.5 litre bottle." And he's drunk it.
The whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing. Like, this is him telling me the story. So appreciate there might be a bit of Chinese whispers, but let's make the story as fun as possible, right? And he's nailed the whole bottle, and they're like little bottles, has to unscrew the tops to each of them.
Oh my gosh. And so that was okay. So that obviously those are your favorites. What?
Yeah. So it was just the most fun, and it's also that point in your life when you're studying and like you don't really have any cares in the world. You get your money, you pay your rent, you buy booze, you make cocktails, try to impress chicks. That type of thing, like you don't have any cares in the world. That is the best time. That's the best time.
And lather, rinse, repeat. You just get to keep living your life like that. Oh, what you don't even know you're in, like, I know everyone says this and I'm going to sound like such a boomer, but you don't know you're in the best, most delicious moments of your life because you're too busy being drunk during them, but like you are.
But you feel invincible as well because you're like 20. You don't even know what a hangover really is yet. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. And you're like, my life has basically just started. I am so in. I'm going to live forever. Like this is such a good look. And then you start, and then that changes. Anyway, okay. So what was your least favorite of all of the customer service jobs?
Easy least favorite job. Oh, we forgot to mention this. Right, I hated this job so much. When you asked me to list jobs, I took it out of my brain.
Wow.
But I was a checkout guy in a supermarket, and I hated that job more than life itself because you weren't allowed to talk to the customers.
What?
Yeah, they said like don't talk to the customers. This was a big company as well, one of like the major UK chains, and but I couldn't amuse myself. It was just beep beep.
I don't understand the mentality of not speaking to customers.
No, but you weren't supposed to, because you'd slow things down, and so I would try to get the beeps to like do "come as you are." Obviously, like the tempo, you couldn't change the pitch.
Sure.
And I talked to people and stuff, and I hated that job. I just never went back. I don't even think I just never went back. They're still waiting for me.
I bet they are. How many? Wait, how long did you actually work there?
Oh, I might have done 3 shifts in total. I hated. I would have preferred to have been stacking the shelves.
Right, because then at least someone could potentially ask you a question and acknowledge that you're a human. Like,
you could stack the shelves of stone, though, couldn't you? So
yeah, I bet.
you could have got through. You could have got through the day easier. But oh my god, yeah! Like anyone who works, I am so nice to anyone on a checkout.
I bet you are.
I'm the nicest person, because that job, you only do that job if you can't do anything else. Ugh. That job has to fit in with the rest of your life. That is a job you are only doing for the paycheck, and the paycheck is appalling. Oh yeah, I feel sorry for anybody who needs to do that job.
That's so brutal. It's just so like it's making me have a visceral response, because my trigger point with this shit is like, if you treat me as less than, much like you've shared earlier, someone like with the car stereo thing, someone just literally assuming because of the badge on your shirt or the outfit you're in or whatever, that you just can't understand high concept interactions with people, and they have to just brush you aside as if you're dust. That makes me... I'll lean into it. I'm so petty that I'll start I'll change my tone and I'll be like, oh my God, like, I don't know how to do it. Because I get mad. But that stuff drives me so insane. I can see why you quit, because you're just...
Yeah, it's terrible. And also, people, like, if you're being paid minimum wage, I'm going to give you minimum care. Right now, like I take pride in jobs I do. If someone's going to be nice to me, just as a human being, I want to be nice to you back. But if you're being anything less than cordial to me, I'm getting paid nothing to put up with you. So I'm going to go and check in the back to see if it's in the back, and I want to be there for 20 minutes. And I know it's not in the back, but making you wait for 20 minutes makes me feel happier about myself. And I know that's a bit petty, but I've only done that because you've been a dick to me.
Right. It. And that's how you sort of manage your fiefdom. It also is how you keep yourself sane in those jobs. I mean, it's been shared on this show multiple times, people saying, oh yeah, I'm going to go look for this thing. And some people have shared, shout out to Ithamar Enriquez, he shared that there were times when he would go back knowing that pair of jeans was in the back, but he was just so grossed out by how he was treated that he would just come back and say, sorry, we don't have that. Like, don't know what to do for you. And that's the stuff where it's like, yeah, it's against corporate policy. Yeah, you should say the thing exists because that's what you're paid to do, but you're not paid to be a doormat. So as soon as they establish they're going to treat you like that, nope, you don't get access.
When I was teaching, some of the families, like most of the families I worked for, are lovely, but there were some that were just horrible. And I remember one clicked at me and called me staff.
No.
I've been clicked at twice. A student did it. And I went, if you click your fingers to me again, I'm going to break your fingers.
Good for you, Steve.
He was like, what? And I was like, if you click your fingers at me again, I'm just going to snap your fingers. Like, off. I'll break them off your hand. Obviously, I wouldn't have done that.
Of course.
I just said it. And he was like, you can't talk to me like that. And I went, I can talk to you however I want. And he went, right. And he went and got his dad. And it was a Russian family. Russian dad you do not mess with, right?
Yeah.
And he came in and he went, what happened? I went, your son clicked his fingers at me. If he disrespects me like that again when I am his teacher, I will break his fingers.
You just repeated what you said. I'm so impressed. So impressed.
And the Russian dad then shouted at the kid in Russian. He then apologized to me, and then I started teaching him more.
Amazing. And so you had established, though, that you were the alpha, and I bet the kid never snapped at you again.
No, never, because they're so used to pushing about their stuff.
Wow. That as soon as you establish that you have a self-esteem.
I don't need to be here. I was like, I don't need to be here. Your parents have hired me to help you.
Yeah.
I will help you if you are nice to me. And we don't start with clicking things. But another family did that to me. And I'd been introduced to them from another wealthy family. And they literally went, click their fingers, start. And they went, how much do you get paid an hour? And I just trebled my fear in my head and said it. And they went, okay, then just counted off this money and gave it to me. And I was like, because you're such a dick, I will put up with you being an arsehole to me, but you've got to pay me a bit more money. Like, everyone's got their grade.
Wait, I'm not tracking the story. So what happened was they snapped at you. They said, staff, come here. How much are you getting paid?
Literally, they were like, so I finished the lesson and I was like waiting. I was like waiting for the parents to come in.
Yeah.
But instead of the parents coming in the room, I just heard, staff here. And they're referring to me. And I had to go into this person's office. And they were like, oh, how much are you an hour? And I tripled my fee.
Oh, I get it. So like if you were getting paid 10, you're like, I'm getting paid £30 an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Because they've just been so rude. I was like, if they pay me, I'll turn up. If they go, that was expensive for a lesson, at least they've like been charged for being so rude to me. But they didn't even realize I like kept just teaching the kid for ages.
So they would write you a personal check because you had mentioned that you used an agency.
Pay in cash. You just declare your earnings. But yeah, so they would pay me in cash at the end of the lesson.
But so but the agency would staff, like the agency would give you the access to the house?
No, sorry, I maybe it just didn't come across on the Zoom well. I was introduced to this family by a family I was already teaching.
Oh, you said that. I'm so sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So it was just complete private work, and they were over in London for business. They were only here for about 4 months.
Okay, because sometimes how with staffing agencies in the States, the way that it works is if you are with a staffing agency, whatever the job is that they're putting you in, you absolutely are in violation of your contract with them if you do anything outside of the agency. So in this case, like because you took a private tutoring client, that would get you fired from the agency over here.
Oh. Yeah, okay. I don't know all the different contracts with agencies, but like it's agency work. So I'm signed up to loads of different agencies, and there's no problem with that.
Oh, okay. So there's no clause of like you can't, when this family wants to hire you privately, you can't do it.
No, if the agency introduces you to a family and then you like start working for them privately, that's different. I would never do that because you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. That's just bad business.
Sure.
But if you're teaching, John and John's friend Dave is also having problem with maths, and they're like, go and teach Dave, then I'm just going to work directly with the new family. I don't think that's got anything to do with the agency.
That's awesome. Yeah,
the original family I was introduced by the agency, obviously that would always be through the agency and done properly.
So you couldn't, that would be a family you'd have to get paid through the agency. So they wouldn't give you cash after the lesson.
No. So that would get invoiced through the agency, then the invoice, then you get paid. But if they introduce you to somebody, then you would just deal with them directly.
That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. So that was so least favorite was, I'm getting our stories.
Least favorite was a
checkout boy.
Yeah. So least favorite. So most favorite job was working in a bar in a music venue. Least favorite job was a checkout boy. That was terrible. The rudest people have been to me whilst I've been in customer service
were the snappers.
Were the snappers. Obviously, the guy in the car stereos was a bit of a dick. Was a dick, but I got my own back on them.
You sure did.
In I think a nicer way than just charging them more money.
Yeah.
But you're amazed how people can treat you badly, especially when you're a waiter. Like people who treat waiters badly, you are imbeciles. You are imbeciles because it's not my restaurant. I don't care if you don't pay the bill. I don't care if you complain. But if you moan about something, the food, I haven't cooked the food. I am not the chef. Why are you telling me off about it? Like, some people don't get this. They're like, you go and fix it. I'm like, I don't know how to cook this. Like, ask me nicely and I'll tell the chef.
And that's the thing too. I mean, and this is more vindictive. It shows how nice of a person you are that your brain didn't go here. But where I think, and I wouldn't do this, but I think I'm touching your food that's about to go into your body before you put it inside of your body. If you're a piece of shit to me, it's real tempting to make that food a little grosser than you would have anticipated without you even being able to know. And that's when it's really dumb.
I don't know how many food stories have you already had on your podcast?
Not many.
Right, but I've seen chefs do things to food that you would be like, I don't want to upset that. I don't want to
Please tell.
Well, I won't say anything too gross, but things have been seasoned with pubic hairs, like frequently. Because if you're putting something under a grill anyway, it just burns off. So it's kind of more like, fuck you, that type of thing. Like food being spat on is just common. Like if you're rude to somebody, expect your food to be spat on. Like that's just going to happen.
Yep.
I've heard of, rumored, steaks being put around toilet bowls before being cooked and given to area managers who have been very rude to cooking staff.
Are you kidding me? I mean, well, I guess if it's before it's cooked, it's gonna.
Yeah, so it's just like an extra crunchy seasoning.
Oh, that makes me want to get sick.
Yeah, but one has been told, and it might have happened that was done, and it's done, and you can watch them eat at every bite, and then when you take their plate away and you look at them and go, "Did you enjoy that?" And they have to look at you and go, "Yeah, that was lovely." Inside, your heart is dancing.
Oh, so you saw chefs do stuff like that. Were you ever tempted, or are you willing to tell on yourself? Were you ever in a position where you were
if I had, I would tell you. The only when people were like got overly drunk in bars, you would do things. Yeah, like their drink suddenly wouldn't be as strong.
That's right, but that's safety. That's not.
Yeah, but they were still being charged for like a strong drink. Something that happened in London frequently, like gin and tonics are quite a common drink here. So they would fill a saucer up with gin. So you'd have a saucer, and then they'll just put the top of the glass in.
Yep.
And then fill the glass up with tonic and ice. And the first thing they hit is the gin on their lip. So they think this is a strong drink. They're just drinking tonic water.
We've done the version of that we do here, or that's the bartender trick. Every bartender gets so mad I'm sharing this. We take the straw, we put a little bit in a shot glass. We take the straw and we dip the straw and we put our finger on the top so that the liquor stays in the straw. Yeah. Then we put the straw in the drink so that the first thing, so it's essentially the exact same thing. So that they're like, oh shit, this is really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a common trick, but that's safety. I don't think that's petty. I think that's like, I don't want to overserve this person and they're going to be crazy if I cut them off. So let's just leave it at this.
England, for a nation of people who drink all the time, some of us are very bad at it. And there's like no worse, like Christmas parties that I would never go to, like, like the office Christmas parties.
Yeah.
Because then it's like part-time drivers, like part-time drinkers are worse.
Yeah.
Because they just don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And like the fights you'd see at Christmas parties, and they were terrible. And you'd go have one drink, show your face, say hello to everybody, then I'll just go and see my friends. I had zero interest in being there.
Did you ever see a crazy fight as a bartender where you were like, you had to get involved?
I saw a couple. The stupidest thing I ever saw, which was a shame because it was a gay night. So in London where the rail arches are, they now put clubs in.
So explain that to people who haven't been there.
Okay, so if you imagine a giant rail arch, they're like these big structures. So they effectively like border up either side of the rail arch, and they turn it into a space that can be used.
So for people who are, I'm going to translate. So where the trains come in, there's like, is that so it's like a covering?
So like the bridge part, the actual arch, so the train goes on top.
That's cool.
And then there's the stone structure.
So they would literally build out into the structure on the side. That's cool.
Yeah. And so they would have like the late night clubs there because you're not disturbing anybody. Like the train doesn't care. And I was doing, so the gay nights are the best, generally speaking, they're the best nights to act. I'm not saying gay people in gay nights don't have fights, but in my experience, they were always the best nights to work.
Same.
And but a guy was doing like lines of ketamine on the bar in front of me. And I was like, dude, you cannot do drugs in front of me at the bar. Yeah. Can't you just go to the bathroom like everybody else?
Like literally everyone else here.
Yeah. I'm like, no, you can't do lines of drugs on the bar in front of me. I have to kick you out. Like, I can't let you stay here. That's ridiculous. And whilst they were carrying out, he asked for his drugs back, which I thought was like the sweetest thing ever.
That is a bit sweet.
I just go, and I'm like, no, we can't give them back to you. So we shared those among the staff. Thank you.
We can't give you the ketamine. It's up our noses. Sorry.
Yeah. Nay, we say to the horses.
But you didn't have to. You had to kick him out. But there wasn't like. Was there?
I never. They're trained security people for that.
Sure. And that's the thing I like that in London. I noticed that all of the security guards on their arms had this like little card. And I asked. It's the registration, I guess, to prove that you've gone through the training and that you actually are a security guard. And so that it's go ahead.
I think it's called SIA. And it's like this blue card. So outside any bar, anywhere that's busy in London, they'll have these people, and they're like the official trained people that can break up fights and kick people out. Famously, there's a boxer in England called Julius Francis. He's most famous for being knocked out by Mike Tyson.
Oh, wow.
Quickly as well, yeah. And he's now a bouncer, and he knocked somebody out about 3 months ago. You can watch it on YouTube. And the venue stood up for him. He's been reinstated. There's been no police action. But as you've ever seen in any bar fight, there's normally like 3 or 4 little people starting trouble. And one of them puts their hands up. Now, in England, if you put your hands up, you can then instantly defend yourself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it looks like if you feel you're under threat, you can attack them back. If they're going to punch you, you can't stab them or shoot them, but you can take reasonable action. And so all of the bouncers are helping get out this group of kids. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them. And you can't see what happens inside the venue. You can only see what happens outside the venue. And they're all being quite chirpsy, being rude to the bouncers. Come on then, if you weren't wearing that jacket, I would have you, and all that rubbish drunk people say. And the guy's like, looks like he's throwing a punch at this bouncer who was an ex-heavyweight boxer who fought Mike Tyson, and the boxer just clocks him, and he is out cold. And then all of a sudden, all his mates, who are the toughest men in the world, are like, why'd you do that? Why have you hurt him? He didn't cause any trouble. And I'm like, you fucking morons. Like you were causing trouble. He didn't want to punch you.
But he had to. You forced his hand.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden, you're the nicest person in the world. And that happens a lot in fights if you've ever been in that type of industry. All of a sudden, the people with the loudest mouths become very, very quiet, actually, when something happens.
Yeah.
But let's go and have fun. Go out and have fun. People get into fights. I don't understand.
Okay, so you personally, from a fighting standpoint, the most you saw was the bar ketamine, where you had to kick out.
Yeah, the bar ketamine. You'd obviously see like drunk people being escorted out to leave, and there might be some verbals, as we would say. They might have thrown in some your mums, that type of thing, and worse. But yeah, nothing. No chairs being thrown. Not in a bar. I saw a boxing fight once.
Did you?
Like there was a riot in the crowd, and they were throwing chairs at each other and stuff.
That was like at a bar?
No, that was at like a boxing event.
Oh, a true boxing event. Oh, got it.
Yeah, a proper boxing event when there were people properly boxing. There was a guy from Liverpool fighting a guy from Manchester, and I don't know how much your audience know about UK sports, but Liverpool versus a Manchester football team, either City or United, that's a big game. And the fans, English football fans, are well known for being calm, peaceful, fun-loving individuals. Definitely never had any violence there. And Manchester guy and Liverpool fighting, and they've got the football chants are happening, and all the crowd intermingled. Someone threw a chair, 3 chairs got thrown back, 5 chairs went there, and we're sitting on the other side, thankfully, of this venue, and it's just a cascade of chairs. Right. And we're like, why are we here?
What are we
doing?
doing?
As far away from the place as possible.
Okay, what's the weirdest thing you've been asked to do whilst you were on the clock?
Well, I suppose apart from give somebody's ketamine back.
That's up there. That's up there.
That's a bizarre thing. Nothing oddly weird has ever really been asked of me, but I've had some very weird experiences whilst being a customer. And so I thought I could tell you this story.
Please.
If you'd like.
Yeah.
When I was courting my lady wife, we used to like going to nice restaurants. That was like our thing. That's what we did. Once a month, we would go to a nice restaurant. And we were at the time, it was voted like London's best restaurant in a posh hotel close to Harrods. I won't say exactly what it was. But I must have been like 29 maybe when I went. So my now wife would have been like 30. And we were the youngest people in there by like 20 years. And it was one of those quiet, like dining rooms where like you're scared to think too loud because people
you might offend their sensibilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're sitting down and like you have the tasting menu at these places. You're like, chef, show me what you can do. And that gets paired with tasting wines. And at the time I had a nice job. So we were there. I'd got that concierge service to get me the table. We had a nice table, that type of thing. And this trust fund baby is how I've been told is the best way to describe it to an American audience.
Yep.
You know, the people who've got a fake job their family have given them just to keep them out the way.
That's exactly what a trust fund baby is. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I call them a chinless wonder. And this guy's really large. They've got nothing. And he's walked in with 2 Eastern European girls. And I've gone to my wife. I've gone, they're working girls.
Yep. 100%.
And she's gone, no, like my wife is square with rounded edges. Like she is like she's yin to my yang. Right? We are the most different people in the world. And she's gone, nobody's going to bring like 2 working girls to this. This is an incredibly expensive restaurant. And I'm like, they won't order the tasting menu and they definitely won't be in here for their main course.
Mm-mm.
Right. right? Because nobody's paying that much money for this. This is impossible. This guy's the loudest, like in this room, which is so quiet. He's suddenly so loud. He's like, Margie, please now. Margie on the table. Margie all round for the girls. So like bottles of Margot, which is like incredibly expensive.
Oh, see, I was thinking margarita. Okay, so bottles of Margot. No. Okay, got it.
Like this crazy expensive, like sold at Sotheby's wine.
Okay.
Right. And then the waiter comes over. They order the tasting menu, and my wife's like, I told you. And I was like, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's all we have to wait. So we're having like the cheese course. The person's like pushed this cheese trolley over, and we've heard from this guy, what? You're really sisters? Woof. He actually woofed. Actually went woof. And he's gone, we'll have the food upstairs in the suite. Pass out the Margie, right? As in pass out to everybody. This guy, this waiter, has looked at me and he's gone, sir, I've worked in the catering industry for 30 years, and that's the most bizarre family dynamic I've ever come across.
That's amazing. What a beautifully British thing to say, to totally cut that guy at the knees without cutting him at the knees. That's amazing. Yeah. I love it.
And so when I had to think of something weird, it didn't happen. I was in the restaurant when that happened.
Yep.
And that's the weirdest thing I've ever experienced in any customer service environment. So I hope you love it.
I love that story. That's amazing. Okay, so I have to know. So did they get it like in a to-go box and they went up to the suite?
No, it was in a 5-star hotel. They would just have had sent up on room service.
Who gets a meal that is that expensive sent up to the room? Like 90% of the experience is you're meant to be in the rest. A guy who hires working girls and brings them to that restaurant. Got it. Yep.
Yeah, like he just obviously wanted to feel like king for the evening. And if you've got unlimited daddy's money, you can get people to call you daddy for money, I suppose.
Turns out you can. Okay. Was there ever an incident where they asked to speak to your manager because of something you had done in any of these? I mean, obviously we have the story of the kid who snapped at you and like.
Yeah, so they're those two stories. So they're the ones I was thinking about. That's what happened. So
when you bartended and waited tables, there was never a time when someone you were waiting on was like, I want to talk to someone above you.
Not really. It only ever happened when I was selling the cast areas or like to the parents. But there's another story. There's another Russian story where I had to talk to the parent. And most people in London, that's why I'm unique, aren't from London. Everyone like travels. And I was teaching a foreign national, and the dad didn't speak the language. So I'm explaining. So I've got to explain to the dad via the child I'm teaching as like what's happening. So I'm going like, your son hasn't put any effort in at school. He's very behind on his chemistry and on his mathematics. And he needs to work much harder. It doesn't matter how good the teaching or schooling is. If he doesn't put in the effort, he isn't going to pass. And he's now translated that to the dad, who has now started smiling and is being really happy. And I'm like, no, bad. The kid, right, was saying, like going, the tutor says I'm brilliant. I don't need any lessons, right? Please buy me a PlayStation 5 and some new Yeezys because I'm doing so well at school.
I'm sorry, but that kid's brilliant. What a grift.
Right, and I said to the kid, I was like, if you put that much effort and like spark of inspiration into your actual work, you would just pass. Like, why are you making this more difficult on yourself?
Unreal. So how did you get that sorted where you were like, no, besides
that was an agency job. And so obviously people at the agency spoke the correct language to talk to the dad. So that I phoned up the agency and I was like, this has happened and this is absolute doolally bonkers. So you've got to phone up and explain it to them. The next time I went there, the son was like dragged out. Ooh. And then the dad was like talking to me via him. And he was like, I'm very sorry this happened. Like, right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I spun it around. I was like, clearly you've got something. You've got a spark of something that's happening.
Yeah, you're not dumb.
Just do your work and pass it.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have an equivalent? I know that Yelp kind of exists in the UK and that there's equivalents to like people being able to write reviews online and stuff. Has a situation where someone wrote a review about you specifically, has that affected any of your jobs?
No. Generally speaking, I always have quite good reviews because I try my best to work hard, but we've left some bad ones.
You've left some bad ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've left bad reviews if people are terrible. I think you've got it.
Wait, so what would trigger you into writing a bad review?
Right. So generally speaking, right, if you're a customer at a restaurant or a bar, it's generally very unlikely it's actually your servers who are doing anything wrong.
That's right.
9 times out of 10, especially in England at the moment, they're just understaffed. They just don't have enough hands to do what they need to do. And so, especially when you've worked, if you've been the other side of the table, been the other side of the bar, you can understand if someone's working hard, but they've just been set up to lose by their boss. And I'm sure loads of people have spoken to you about this. But generally speaking, if I write bad reviews, it's because of that, and it's always directed straight at the management. Yes, you had to wait 25 minutes for to have a drink order taken, not even like served.
Oof.
Maybe if there was more than 2 members of staff in your bar on a Sunday when there are 100 covers for Sunday lunch. Sunday lunch is a big thing in England. I don't know if it's a big thing in America. Do you have?
We have brunch.
It's a big thing. So it's like Sunday lunch is a big thing. You always go out with your family, that type of thing. And so there could be 50, 100 people in this restaurant. They've got two people serving. They might have one person in the kitchen. So like you're emailing the management. You're like, your dicks, managers.
Yeah,
like,
this is on you guys.
Happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, this happened, but your staff were brilliant. They did the best they can. Help your staff. And then the stupid thing is that you then get a free meal because they're apologizing.
And it's like, no, that's not my point.
Yeah, and then so you go back and they've still only got 2 members of staff. So exactly the same thing happens again. I'm telling you what's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Hire another member of staff.
That's it. Just full stop. Yeah.
Lots of people need jobs. Hire them. Yeah.
So in any of these jobs, what was the last straw that got you out? Besides, I mean, we know for the grocery job, it was just like, I can't speak to anyone. But was there a last straw where you were like, burn this place down, I'm out so fast?
I think so this is just a general rule for me with any job, right? There's always going to be some days you wake up and you're like, I don't want to go to work. I think that's just human.
Yeah.
That's just human, right? But for me, if that happens every day in the same week, where I'm like, I would prefer to be anywhere in the world apart from at this desk, behind the bar, at this same like comedy venue. Like, I just won't do it. Like, if I feel like Dante could write an Italian poem about where I am, right? Then I know I have to leave. I just have to leave. And like, especially some of like the jobs in the city, you walked in and everyone's like that super aggressive male testosterone, and they're like powered by, Colombian Red Bull, and and you're like, right, well, I want to go down the crossroads and I want to find Robert Johnson and sell my soul, or I'm fucking out of here. Like,
okay, so
like, there's been those types of incidences, but yeah, I think you need to know in yourself. You need to understand yourself well enough to know what you can and can't do.
That's right.
And to get to that breaking point, thankfully, I've never needed to be. I've been close. The incident with the kid when I was having a go at the lady English teacher who was also sick, like she was older than me. She was like from an outside perspective, it would look like a young kid having a go at a much older woman, and that isn't allowed in my book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like those things. They're the things where I'm like, I don't know if I should be doing this.
Yeah.
But thankfully, due to the types of jobs I've had, if you have one terrible student and that doesn't work, you can concentrate on the other 3 or 4. If you have one bad gig, you're like, right, why did that gig go bad? Was it just I was having a bad night? Did I change my order of jokes? Was I just doing all new jokes and I hadn't tried them before? Like, generally, I kind of take the responsibility, figure out where I went wrong, and then try to go again.
I love that. Okay.
Okay, so earlier we're talking about tipping, and there's the thing worse than no tip, which is like the coppers in your pocket. So the same dinner as the chinless wonder disappearing upstairs with his what, you're really sisters? Woof, happened. So the bill has come, the check's come, and they've charged for 3 people as opposed to 2. Because tasting menu,
Yep.
tasting wine, but instead of 2, they've clicked 3, which very small mistake, but very noticeable on a bill, obviously. So I've literally looked at it, given it back. I've gone, there's a problem with this. Like, pretty cool. I think there's a problem with this, like, as in, someone's made a mistake, why don't you go and fix it, type of thing. He's come back and told me there isn't a mistake. And I was like, okay. And when you look at it, it literally says 3 times set mill, 3 times tasting wine. And I went, how many people are at the table?
I was hoping you were going to say that. Like, come on, bro, you can see us.
Right? And he's gone, oh, there are 2. And I went, so do you want to fix the bill? He's come back and told me. I was like, right, there's 2 of us. You've charged us for 3. Can you please correct the bill? He's then come back and just like dropped the thing. Like, not been nice. Like, I haven't done anything wrong. I've given you every option here. Like, to be nice. I'm assuming the Chinless Wonder has really pissed this guy off. Right? Something has happened there. Right? So he's come back with the card machine to pay. And I've like gone, I'm not paying any service charge.
Good for you.
Right? I'm just not paying because like you've been so rude. I'm not paying it. You haven't like come over and apologized or like just gone, oh, I'm really sorry. We just fixed it on the machine wrong and just been a normal human being about it. So I just crossed it off and they've gone, oh, and I was like, no, I don't have to pay this. I've crossed it off. And then I've literally got out of my pocket like 17 pence and put it down and walked out.
Oh, Steve. I mean,
I'm like, I don't mean to be odd, but if I give you ample opportunity to correct your mistake, and it's such an obvious, easy mistake, and you're taking, like, all you needed to say was, oh, I'm really sorry, we just didn't notice. Did you notice the mad, crazy person here with 2 prostitutes earlier? I would have gone, yeah, that's the greatest story ever. I'm telling that story till the day I die, right? And we would have had a nice time about it. No one would have cared, and it would have been great. But, that was a very odd experience. But when I worked in the city, when I was trading, I used to do the UK and the US markets. So that's like quite a long day for trading. And as you have met me, I generally wear ripped jeans, a band t-shirt, and like a hoodie.
Yeah.
And so that's just what I wore to work. If I was like had to meet a client or something, yeah, I'd put a suit on, obviously. But if I'm sitting staring at a computer all day, I'm just going to feel comfortable. I just want to do my job. And like all good men, I buy my Christmas presents the day before Christmas Eve. Like, and this is logical, and I don't think many people understand the succinct logic behind this is because there's less stuff to choose from.
Makes it easier.
And so it makes it easier clearing. And so I've gone to a posh part of London. I've gone to Bond Street, which is like a nice part of London where they have the lovely like Italian designer shops and everything. I won't say what the shop was called. I might give it away by what we were buying, but I won't say what it was. And so I've walked in and I'm wearing a Nirvana smiley t-shirt. Do you remember those?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. I've got ripped jeans. I'm wearing a battered leather jacket because, as everyone knows, leather jackets look brilliant the day you buy them and the day they fall apart. Everything between then is just on its journey to awesomeness. And I've obviously been out a few nights in a row. I'm looking terrible, and I am in the poshest of the poshest shop. I'm getting my mum, my sister, and we were engaged at the time. I think maybe or just about to be engaged. A present. And so I'm in this very expensive purse and handbag shop. You call purses and handbags different things. Yeah,
we call a purse, and then you guys call it like a wallet for us, or like a checkbook. You guys call something else too. I think we say handbag.
So a purse in England is like what you put your notes in and your credit cards.
Yeah, sure.
And a handbag is what you put your purse in.
Got it.
Right. So I'm buying a mixture of purses and handbags. And they've gone, oh, what ones are you looking at, sir? And I've like pointed at like 3 just behind the counter. How much are you looking to spend? And I'm like, I don't know.
How much are they?
I don't know. Those 3. And they've gone, but they're very expensive. So
this is this Pretty Woman moment where you're like, yeah, I got the money, bro. I look haggard, but like, just let me pay for this.
Right. And I've gone, okay. But can I see those? Can I just see those 3? Is that okay? And they've gone, but sir, they are very expensive.
Oh my God.
And okay. I've gone, okay, that's fine. Are you going to let me look at the 3 handbags or not? And they've gone, they are very expensive.
Oh my
God. At the time, like the bell end prick city worker I was, I had one of those shiny credit cards that didn't have a limit on. So I've taken it out of my decrepit jeans and I've gone, Delise fit in those persons.
Oh, I love that line so much.
Right? And the person's looked at me and gone, I'm so terribly sorry. Of course you can look at them. And I've gone, you can shove those up your fucking ass. Do you get paid on commission? And they've gone, yeah. I walked over the road to the equally expensive and exclusive shop. I bought everything there. They were lovely. They didn't care what I looked like. I walked back into the shop and I've gone, Merry fucking Christmas, bitches. What's up?
That is literally in the plot of Pretty Woman. Like, I'm so impressed. Like, do you work on commission? Big mistake. Huge. Like, I love that so they kept insisting these are really expensive. Now, look.
How much are you looking to spend? I don't know yet. I will just buy what I like.
Here's the thing, and that's such
expensive. I know they're expensive because I actually go, I would hope they're expensive. I'm in insert very exclusive French-made handbag shop. I would hope they're expensive. That's why I'm in here.
Well, and here's my thing. Like, I understand from their perspective. Okay, look, if this dude is trying to flex, or maybe he's like been out for 3 days and maybe he's drunk coming in here, we want to be careful.
No, I wasn't drunk. I left work, but so you finish work early on those days just because like the American markets start closing.
Sure.
You can finish early. You don't have any positions open. No one trades over Christmas.
Well,
so,
and that's my thing is like by the second time you were like, can I see it? They had to, it would have been in their best interest to be like, this dude probably can afford this. Like, he's probably not going to grab these and run out the door. Like, it's a weird, because why would you have insisted? Like,
I was very lucky when I worked in the city, when I had private clients. I worked with a very wealthy guy from Ireland. He was probably in like the top 10 richest people in Ireland. And when he would travel to see me, he would have the cheapest flight, stay in like the most reasonable hotel. We would go out to crazy places because he liked to have some fun. Like go to nice meals and nice drinks and that type of thing. And he would just always tell me, he's going, what do I need to prove? I don't need to show anybody.
That's right.
If I'm walking down the street, I don't want to look like a tiger. I don't need to show off. I don't need to pull up in a chauffeur-driven Rolls Royce. I don't need a private plane. I could have one. When he travels with his family, he always said he traveled first class just because it was easier.
Yeah.
He's gone, if you travel first class, life's just easier. So yeah, we do that then, obviously. He's gone, but if it's just me, I come to Ireland, to London all the time. Like, I just get a 50 quid flight.
Yeah, who cares?
What difference does it make? Like, right, I'm here to do something and then I go home. And so like he was the one who was like taught you, is like, you don't need to have all of these material things. Just concentrate on your job, be good at your job. And like those things will come. You don't need to show off what you are. And and so that was like going through my mind. But in the end, you're like, I'm tired. I need to buy these people presents. Otherwise, it's going to be a horrible Christmas. I'm literally trying to buy those things a meter outside my grasp. I can afford them. Why the fuck aren't you even letting me look at them? Because you're snobby woman. It just happens to be a woman. I'm not saying a woman.
Right.
And you just don't. Why? Because I've just walked in. Like, you don't like it. And like, especially now when you've got like the people made so much money on like internet companies, or in England you've got like footballers and they're like football agents. People don't wear Savile Row suits anymore, and like they're not the rich people. The rich person is probably wearing a standard hoodie from the Gap, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like basic Reebok trainers, but that guy's got $90 billion worth of Bitcoin and flies about in a Gulfstream jet. Yeah. Like you shouldn't judge people on what they look like. And it's one of the main things I think anyone who's ever going to work in customer service, or if you ever deal with people in customer service, you've always got to remember they're human. Like, treat them like you want to be treated. Be the customer you would like to be served. That's the way I always think about it.
I love that. Okay. Well, you've answered this before, but I want to know if it happened again. I think you said it was the only time you had been fired. Have you only ever been fired once?
Yeah. So the only time I've actually ever been fired was the kitchen porter job.
Okay.
Because so it sounds like you've had a lot of jobs, but most students have lots of jobs. Like, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
Because by the time you've gone home for the holidays or something's happened, you had a part-time job that's instantly been filled, and then you need to go and find another one as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. When I was at customer service, we were talking about tips earlier.
Yeah.
And receiving tips. So I worked at a restaurant. Do you have the trunk system?
I don't know what that is.
So you get the tips, and then the tips don't go to the way that they get split between everybody who works there.
We call it the pool. We call it a tip pool. I hate the tip pool.
Yeah, so like the chef would get stuff and that type of thing. Yeah, and I remember I was working in a fish restaurant, and I was waiting, and I'd been obviously stupendously amazing. I was just doing my job. I was just nice to everybody. And I've got like a crazy, like for England, like a crazy fuck off tip. Like the bill might have been 120 quid and they give me 50 quid,
Woo!
which is like amazing. Like that never, ever, ever happens, ever. Like you'd be lucky to get £5.
Yeah.
Anyway. And I've gone to my boss. I've gone, mate, this is like, who's my friend? I'm like, that's incredible. Like I've just got a 50 quid tip. And he's gone, no, I've got a 50 quid tip. Your tips get paid in your salary, and literally took the money off me.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah. So just going back to your previous story, was there a reason you never went back? Yeah, that happened. I never went back.
He straight up stole from you.
No, because so it's the way he phrased it badly. He's like, no, the tips go into the trunk system. They get split between everybody, and it'll go into your paycheck. The fact they've given it to you is irrelevant. But when he said it to me, he was like, yeah, that isn't your tip. That's our tip. And actually just took the money out of my hand.
I would have been like, I understand in a tip pool, like it's very frustrating for that reason. If you work your ass off, especially out here, and they tip accordingly to you working your ass off, you're like, cool. But Jim over here, who hasn't bussed a table in 6 years and also barely talks to his tables, is about to get runoff from me busting my ass. That's why I hate a tip pool system. It's like, and in that situation, it's like that 50 quid went to you. That was for you.
Literally, they gave it to me because they could have just done the tip on my credit card and on the bill.
Yeah, I struggle with this because ethically, I'm like, okay, I know that the cooks can't come out and get tips, and like that's sort of not the way the system is set up, and maybe it's not fair that only the servers get to get the tips. But it's like, but you chose that job, boo. Like you could be working and having to customer interface, and you don't ever have to deal with the customers. You get to tell them that they should die in a fire, and they'll never hear it because you're in the kitchen screaming that. I don't have the luxury to tell these customers where to put it. I'm trying to dip, duck, dive, dodge to get my tips. I don't know. I don't know where to fall on that sort of ethically.
I just thought it was just like, I just think it was unneeded. He could have just explained it better. But I've had worse. That wasn't like the worst experience with a boss that's made me. You've reminded, after you've asked the question, it's like in the week break we've had since the 2 episodes, it's all come flooding back to me. But I worked in a coffee shop on a train station. Yeah, in a little town in Surrey. So like it was like a 4-platform train station, and on in one of the platforms they had a little coffee shop, and I worked there, and it was a great job because no one ever came in. So it's like
ideal.
You could just like your friends would come in, you'd make them hot chocolates. Like it was great, and it was the time just when mobile phones were becoming like reasonable enough that you could afford one if you're a student. Mm. Because when they very first came out, like only, drug dealers and city workers had them, and they were like the size of suitcases. Yeah. So when they actually got to the point where you could have them, and so I bought this phone off this manager who hired me, and he begged me to come to work on a Monday. I was like, I can't do it. I've got lectures on a Monday. But he's like, please, 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 can you do it? He came up with some bullshit reason he couldn't do it. And I was like, just once. Right, okay, I won't go to school and I'll work. I'll do you a favor. Anyway, the train station was closed that day. So I've turned up to work and the train station's closed. And I've gone to the person, I was like, why is the train station closed? He's gone, why are you here? We told your manager that it was closed. Why haven't they phoned you? And I was like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So I phoned the guy up and I've gone, why didn't you tell me the train station was closed? You knew I had uni that day, and so I could have gone and studied. But instead you've got me here, and you're obviously not going to pay me because the shop wasn't open. He's gone, no, I couldn't phone you. I didn't have your number. And I went, I'm using the phone you just sold me. How can you not have the number? And I was tempted to get the key, put it in the door, and snap the key in the door. All of me really wanted to. I didn't do that in the end. I left the keys with the guy on the station. But I was like, well, just what a dick move. You've tried to get me to do something, giving me this mad, fantastic reason you can't do it. But all of a sudden, you've forgotten your own phone number in a day. So you can't phone me to tell me. But bad management ruins many things.
That's right.
Like bad management can just destroy anything which is customer service.
I agree.
Like a bad waiter can ruin the best food.
That's right.
But a brilliant waiter can make mediocre food brilliant.
I agree with that because it's so much experiential. Like, yes, chefs have such an important part of the restaurant experience. Totally, I'm not dishonoring how hard that work is. It's very, very hard. But I do think customer interfacing and creating the experience really is the heavy lifting. Like, that's it.
Because you can a good waiter or waitress, like they can make any situation better, and you don't necessarily need to comp things. Everybody thinks, oh, you've got something. No, a smile, just a bit of understanding. If the kitchen tell you that it's going to take 20 minutes, and you go to the individual who you're serving and go, right, look, it's going to be brilliant when it comes out, but I want it to be brilliant, so it's going to take 20 minutes. The people go, oh yeah, sure, that's fine, no problem. I want it to be brilliant. You want it to be brilliant. We're all in this brilliance together, right? It's good to do. And the worst thing about bad service isn't necessarily about being rude. You can be overly serving and be bad.
Yeah.
I call it a death by 1,000 thank yous.
Yeah.
And I was in Vegas, and there's a famous casino with fountains.
I wonder which one you're talking about. Go ahead. Keep going.
I've got a famous steak restaurant there. And I've got some good Vegas stories. We can tell some Vegas stories?
Hell yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, cool, right. And so I'm there dining, and we've been told to go to this steak place. It's supposed to be the best steak place in Vegas. Even though I've been, like, every restaurant in America seems to be the best. I don't know, maybe that's just a thing.
We're hyperbolic here. Everything's the best. We're having the best time. We're doing the best work. We're the best.
Yeah. And you are all brilliant, by the way. I do like America. I've got some odd American stories. I'll tell you quickly. And we're in this dining room, and generally when I'm at a restaurant, if I want to enjoy the food, unless I'm doing like the tasting wines and like because it's paired together, they put it together, I normally just drink water. Like I'll just have like fizzy water because I want to taste the food.
Sure.
I don't want to be tasting the tequila from the margarita or whatever rum I've been drinking. I go to a cocktail bar, I drink cocktails. I go to a restaurant, I want to eat the food. And you literally took a sip out of the glass and put it down, and they were filling the water up. And I'm like, thank you. That's kind of you. That's nice. But I can actually do my own water. And after about the fifth time I take a sip, they'd filled up again. I was like, you trying to drown me? Like, I've asked you really politely. Can you not do this? I'm just trying to have that quiet conversation with my wife, and we're trying to enjoy our dinner, and the food's nice, but you keep coming over and asking us if everything's okay on the pretense of filling up water. Like, you're smothering us.
It's too much.
You're actually making it worse. If you just sat politely, normally, like, you know, the waiters, they normally stand, and waitresses, you stand around the outside and you look at everything. And then, like, you can catch somebody's eye with that little flick of your eyebrow, that type of thing. And an attentive waiter or server or whatever will come over. But else, like, you're just trying to get me to buy as many bottles of water as possible because you're annoyed I'm not drinking wine or something.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
And I was like, just let me enjoy my meal. I know I'm in Vegas. I know I have to tip. Otherwise, I'll get bad juju. And everything will land on 0 and 00.
That's
I know
right.
that. I know.
That's
I've been
right.
told. Right? And yeah, so like sometimes that trying to be overly zealous, like overly caring. You're like, no, you're actually making things worse. Death by 1,000 thank yous. If I've said thank you to you more than I've had a conversation with the person I'm dining with, then that is not a good dining experience. But yeah, there's 2 Vegas stories that jump out at me. You've obviously been to Vegas, obviously.
Never. I don't know. Where is this?
Really?
No, I'm teasing. I've been there a bunch of times. Yeah, I'm teasing.
So for anyone who's ever been to Vegas, up and down the strip, these vans drive past and they advertise company.
How polite. How very British of you. Yes. Company in the nude.
Of the female variety that allegedly can appear at your hotel room in 30 minutes or less. I don't know if it's like a pizza where you get a discount if they're longer than 30 minutes.
If they arrive cold, you get a discount. Yeah.
Free, right? Yeah. The second one for free. And we're walking down. We've just been to a show. I'll tell you the show stories after this. It doesn't work chronologically, but in funny it does. And we're walking down, and there's these people, and they hand out like the tickets, like the cards for you to phone these angels of the night to turn up at your hotel room in 30 minutes or less. And you know when you like walk when you're a couple and you like walk arm in arm,
Yeah.
Because, that's what you do. And so the guy's gone. So in front of us, there's a couple. We're walking behind. And the guy tries to hand a ticket, like one of the cards, the guy in front. And he like waves it away. But as he's waving it away, now his body is blocking his wife/girlfriend's body of the guy handing out the cards. So he then clicks his fingers subtly and does like this movement between his full finger and his thumb. And he takes the card behind him, puts it in his back pocket, and just keeps walking.
Oh!
And I'm like, oh my God, did you just see that? That's ridiculous.
Oh my God, that's so gross. That is so gross.
Yeah. Yeah, he obviously was then sending his wife off somewhere so he could find out if the timekeeping was true. But we went to see the Cirque du Soleil, the one set to Beatles music.
Oh, I forget what that was called, but yes, that was there for. I think it might actually still be there. It's anyway.
It's an incredible show. It's an incredible show. If you get a chance to see it, go. If I'm there, please give me free tickets. Right, and we're there. And when, as you know, when I talk to Mayne, I become even more English. Like I turn into like a Hugh Grant who spent less money on transsexual hookers. And
not none, just less.
You picked up that wording quick.
I did.
And I'm chatting, and so we're sitting down and we're chatting to the people behind us. And I'm really excited. Like, what are your favorite Beatles songs? Like, usual discussions. Day in the life is the only answer acceptable. Obviously, everyone knows that. And we're talking about the musicianship, and I'm like, Ringo's hard done by. And I know he's like the butt of all like the drummer jokes. Like he actually was like really good. He like did perfectly for that band. You couldn't imagine John Bonham from Zeppelin and the Beatles like just wouldn't work in together.
Sure.
The guy goes to me, he's gone, do you know what? He's gone, you're right. Paul McCartney's guitar work in the Beatles is the reason I play guitar. And I'm like, Paul McCartney? It's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure Paul played guitar yesterday. Like, and I'm sure like maybe on Hella Scouter he might have played a bit of guitar, but famously he plays an Epiphone bass.
That's what I thought. I was like, wait, I didn't think he played guitar.
Right. And I'm sure Paul McCartney could play anything, but generally in the Beatles, Harrison and Lennon played guitar. Unless it's on my guitar, generally which Eric Clapton plays on that. Don't worry, different podcast. We'll talk about that.
We don't have time.
We don't have time. And this guy's literally looked at me, and he's gone, no, Paul McCartney was the guitarist in the Beatles. And I'm like, no, I don't mean to be odd, but John Lennon and George Harrison were the guitarists in the Beatles. And he's like, listen to me, limey son, right? And I was like, what? I'm now being abused for being English? He went, the Beatles were a pretty fucking big deal here in America, right? I know about the fucking Beatles, and Paul McCartney played fucking guitar, right? My wife is punching my leg. Stop talking to this person. And I've just turned around and I've gone, do you know what, mate? You're right. I should have thought about it, shouldn't I? Because the Beatles were big in America. They couldn't sell a record in England, could they?
You passive-aggressive mess. I love it so much. I love it. What did he say when you said that?
Nothing.
Of course.
Nothing.
What could he say?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe like I attract crazy people. And we're in New York and we're going to see the Statue of Liberty, which is obviously a beautiful thing. Like always go and see it. And you get like a boat there. I always want to call it Liberty Island, but I might be wrong. Maybe
no, it's called Liberty Island. Yeah, you take a ferry to Liberty Island. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you take a ferry to Liberty Island. And we're on there and we're looking at New York's landscape, which is obviously like iconic. Like if you're not there and you look at it, it's iconic. And we weren't married at the time, but my wife goes, is that the Empire State Building? And I've gone so nonchalantly, shut up, there's no monkeys on it, right? That's how you would know if there was that building. There would be monkeys flying up and down, right?
What a cheeky bastard you are.
I've had a tap on the shoulder by this obviously mad person and gone, they weren't monkeys. King Kong was a Godzilla.
No.
Monkeys have tails.
No.
And I've gone,
no.
I thank you for that bit of biological information about a creature that's never existed.
Like King Kong, not real.
What are you thinking?
Not real. Not a thing to get upset about. Yeah. That's like getting mad about Harry Potter. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo, woo. Okay, so you
Why come out with this story? I don't understand. Like, why ask me this? Or why correct me on something that was clearly just, you know what comics are like? It's just like stupid. You thought of something funny. You're going to say it with conviction, right?
that's the whole deal. That's why comics generally are annoying as a group. Like, yes, this is because of this shit. Like, oh, bless. Okay, so did you ever correct your wife and say, like, you know that this is not where the Empire State Building is, right? Like, did you ever tell her?
No.
Okay, of course not.
I was too busy finding out
About King Kong.
Of fictional creatures from the movies.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I found out Godzilla actually has 5 nipples. I don't know. Who would have thought?
I'm changing the subject. Okay. Can you give me, last question in this section, an archetype of the worst customer or the worst customer you've had to interact with? Like the ketamine thing was annoying, and the guy at the car stereo place, like you have had annoying stories. So if you can't think of a specific example, just like an archetype, who is the worst person to have to interact with?
So the worst customer is somebody who's clearly trying to get free things and is looking for any excuse not to pay for anything.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so they will moan about everything until you get to the point where you're like, fucking leave.
Bye.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But you can spot these customers.
You can smell them.
You can see them a mile away.
Yep.
Because they will be the people who who'll turn up late and complain their table's not ready.
Yep.
Well, good thing I wasn't here at 7 because it's 7:05 and it's still not here. And you're like, all right.
Cool.
Please remember, I'm just doing my job. About your life, I don't really care that much about. I want you to have fun whilst you're here.
Sure.
I want fabulous, and then I want you to leave. That's it. Like, yeah. So anybody who's like they're trying to be as pernickety as possible, and they're purposely trying to get something for free. I hate those people. It's the same. They're the type of people, when you go out with like a group of friends and you order food. It's the person who gets out a calculator on their phone.
Yes.
And then, yeah, but you were drinking this rum and that's 78p more over 4 drinks.
That's like
I should need to pay that. And you're like, we're not friends.
Yeah. That's
because no matter how much fun we just had,
you've ruined it.
Out of the room. Yeah. So any of those types of customers. But, just don't be a dick. It's that simple. Just don't be a dick. That's it.
It's so easy. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed your appetizers and your entrees, and we hope you saved room for dessert because we're moving on. What was the nicest thing a customer has done for you whilst you were working?
Oh, got me any customer who gets me new work.
Really? Okay. Elaborate.
Because obviously when you're like teaching, if you do a good job for a student, then you'll get like the recommendation. And any type of job you're in where it's that type of like short-term service industry. Yeah. Because remember, you're tutoring somebody for like their SATs. When they finish their SATs, you don't need to teach them anymore, right? Yep. So you've always got to be, so any customer that gets you more work or gets you a better job. So when I finished university, I worked for like an internet style of company. They did like domain names. Yeah. Like www. blah, 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 blah. And I worked there and I did well. I was good at the job. And one of the people I worked with got a job as a stockbroker. And he liked me and he phoned me up and he was like, why are you there? Come here. And so that wasn't necessarily a customer, it was a work colleague. But those people who help you get to a better job, like anybody who does that, you are golden. We love you. Keep it coming.
Agreed.
That's it.
Okay. The next question is the best tip you've ever gotten, but I would imagine it was that 50 quid that then got stolen from you immediately. Was that right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would definitely be the biggest tip.
Okay.
We did get some, I worked at quite a nice restaurant once. And there was a guy who used to come in. This is a relatively sad story, but it's true. He went there every year on the anniversary of his wedding after his wife had passed away.
Oh, bless him.
He would go, and that was her favorite restaurant. And he would order in specially this crazy bottle of white wine. And it only came as a bottle. Like you couldn't buy half bottles. And it was an incredibly expensive white wine. Like it was many hundreds of pounds, which, remember 20 years ago when I used to do this job, was like a really crazy amount of money. and he would have like a glass or half a glass, and he would finish his meal. He was the loveliest, sweetest man. Everybody was told why he was there because it was set up for two.
Oh, I'll cry. I can't deal.
Right? It was set up for two, as in there was another seat there, but obviously food wouldn't be so. It wasn't like creepy like that.
Sure.
He would just eat, and there were two glasses, and a little bit was poured out where the wife would have been, and he would like have half a glass of this incredibly beautiful wine. He would have a main course, dessert, go home.
Bless
Every
him.
year he did this. Nicest thing ever. I only worked there once whilst he was there because of my side of the work. But what he said to the maitre d', he was like, I would like you, everybody who works for my table, I would like them to get a glass of the wine because then I'll feel like I've had my meal with everybody. And I always thought that was like the most touching thing a customer ever did because it was wine I could never have afforded or would even have understood at the time. And it was just like a genuine, honest gesture from somebody's heart. And I think you can't beat that when it comes. That's the real stuff.
I love that. Oh, that's so lovely. Well, what's the best lesson that you've personally learned from working in customer service?
Okay, so that would be, be the customer you would want to serve.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
It's so easy.
It is that simple. And as we spoke about before, on your to-do list of your day, you're like, I've got to go to this shop, I've got to buy this, I've got to return this, I've got to buy this, I've got to research this, right? Yeah, that's your day. That's what you've got to do. But in that period, you're going to have interactions with other humans. And especially if you're going somewhere where somebody might have more information about what you're buying than you do, like say with the car stereos, or if you're in any type of like job along those lines, I suppose if you work in like you're selling computers, it would be the same thing.
Yeah.
Have a 20-second conversation because you might learn something you actually didn't know.
Yeah.
Instead of just walking in and being bullshit and being rude, like, yeah, it's your time and I respect your time. I want to do my job as efficiently as possible as well. But 5 seconds ain't going to make no difference to your life. And in 5 seconds, you can say, hello, please, thank you. That's it.
Agreed with that. Okay. And what's one piece of advice you would give to customers who interact with customer service workers? I would imagine it's probably similar, but do you have any other?
No. Remember, we're touching your food.
What a way to end. Well, Steve, is there anything else you wish people knew or any other gems you want to throw in before we wrap up?
We'll save them for the next one.
That sounds great.
Should we do a cocktails after dark one next time?
That would be so fun. Yeah, we should. Yeah.
We'll go down to the deep depths and get some proper stories out for next time.
Oh, people are going to want that. I'm going to get emails about this. So you offered it, Steve. This is on you. Okay. Well,
we'll get there. We'll do it soon. And when are you next in London? When are you going to come to one of my shows?
I'm hopefully there. I'm thinking after like January, February. That's what I'm aiming for. But I'll definitely let you know.
If you come on January 21st, you can enjoy my 42nd birthday.
Oh, okay. I'm going to write that down. January 21st.
Yeah.
January 21st. Okay, perfect.
And, hopefully we can create some stories and we can talk them on your podcast.
That'd be amazing. Well, Steve, how can people get in touch with you? Like, can they see you in London? I know you already did this outro last week, but tell us.
Yeah, so Steve is my Instagram. That will show whatever I'm currently up to. And the Tall Tales and Cocktails will be restarting. The theatre's just been refurbished. It looks absolutely super duper incredible. I think to be confirmed, I'm just waiting for the date, but we're going to do some Friday and Saturdays. We're going to raise some money for some local charities. That's what we're going to look at doing as the theatre's reopened to get some more people there. And that will be a monthly ongoing thing. I generally always go and see all the comics before they come on. So generally they've got like 10, 15 or 20 minutes. So a bit longer than the usual 7 minutes comics get.
That's awesome.
So they've got time to tell their crazier stories. The idea of the stories you wouldn't want your parents knowing you did. That's the concept.
I love it.
Of the evening. So, have a nice large tequila, have a flaming sambuca, sit down. This is some crazy stories. That's the night we want.
And what's the postal code of that theater so people in London
that's
can...
in Chelsea. That's
Chelsea.
Generally the wonderful Drayton Arms Theatre.
Okay.
It's a beautiful place in the middle of Chelsea. So you can see all the flash cars riding about.
Oh, Chelsea's so nice. Well, folks, we're going to drop your text now. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to help us out here at Service from Hell, we'd love to have you subscribe, rate, and or review the show wherever you listen, but you're listening on Sirius right now. We're very appreciative of them and you. It will help us reach more people that need to be schooled on the art of being kind and will be catharsis for those of us still working in the industry. If you want to get in touch with us here directly at Service from Hell, send us your receipts to servicefromhellpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Remember, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out. So don't be garbage and be good to people. It's easier that way. Steve, thank you so much for being here. This was lovely. You gave us 2 weeks of your time. You're going to get so many new fans out of this. And it was really lovely. Everybody go see Steve.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting me come on. And I can't wait to see you again. I can't wait to see you again in real life.
Cheers, Steve. Lovely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Good night. So much for so much time.
Is it all okay?
You were delightful. You were delightful. You got it. It's funny. I've just been lucky. I've had really good guests, like a bunch of weeks in a row where I've gotten to make it a 2-parter.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us with our Steve Mayne series. Steve, in his very posh London accent, had a residency on Service from Hell, and we are so grateful. He is so patient, and you should find him on all of the things and also watch him do stand-up. He really knows how to work a room. Anybody who's been on television as many times as he has and had to wrangle a bunch of journalists trying to interrupt him and overtalk him knows what the hell they're doing in a room full of drunk hecklers. So that is Steve. Find Mr. Mayne on all of the things, and thank you folks so much for listening. Enjoy this rainy outro. Good night.